Good afternoon or morning or wherever you are. It's noon where we are. So there you go. Thanks for joining, everybody. This is Recruiting EQ episode 39. I'm going to do the same thing I always do. I'm incredulous about the 39. How the hell did we get here so fast? The title of the episode this week, Tools and Automation for Your Boutique Agency in 2024. I should have called it 2025 in hindsight, but whatever. Who knows? Things change so fast that there's still maybe a lot of 2024 left. Thanks for joining us. Great guest today, Brian Gavet, founder of BSA and Arrange. And of course, Julie Robinson, who's here, who's the owner and founder of Raymond George. Thanks for being here, both you guys.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Before we go around the room,
I'm gate crashing actually today, so I wanted a bit of FaceTime. So I'm gate crashing. So
hell yeah, I welcome it. Gate crash all the time.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. It's a gloomy day. Let's have a little fun. Before we get started, I just want to do my usual disclaimer. We've had lots of communication from people, comments, and all this during participation in these episodes. It's very welcomed. Just so you guys know, if you're seeing this on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, not on those apps. So we will see your comments come through. There's a bit of a delay, so apologies for that. And sometimes your comment will get cut short if it's super long. But whenever there's a lull in the conversation, we will read them out. So please do give us your questions and comments and anecdotes and all that stuff. In the interest of privacy, we're not going to name anybody because this is being recorded. We don't want you to get you in trouble if you're supposed to be working right now. So there you go. Disclaimer done. Let's get to it. Shall we go around the room? Intros and just a little bit about what we got going on would be great.
Yeah.
Jonas, Brian?
Want me to kick it off?
Kick it off, man.
I'll kick it off. Hey, everybody. My name's Brian, Gavet. I've been in the recruitment world for over a decade now. Probably got into the space in my early 20s. I had like 2 jobs post college graduation and just, general sales roles. Got into recruiting, just fell into it. Worked at a small recruiting shop and a large recruiting shop before I started my own business. And when I was like 27 years, gosh, I feel like a dinosaur now. That's crazy to say that. We're coming up on 9 years with BSA. We specialize in recruitment for public relations, marketing, digital, social, affiliates, influencer marketing, and so forth. Based in New York, we're a small but mighty team. And personally, I have a 7-month-old baby at home, so new world for me, but it's such a blessing and amazing. And, we're just working, hard every single day. That's really it. I can tell you so much more, but we'll leave that for later.
We got to leave some nuggets.
Quick intro. Yeah, got to get some more coffee in me, you know what I'm
saying? That's it. Julie?
I did the caffeine. I've got my massive cup here, by the way, already prepared. So I'm Julie Robinson, and I am part of the furniture with Raymond George Consultancy. We've been in business for the last 8 years now, and have presence in the UK and work out of North America as well from Toronto. And we have a couple of folks who service the New York's particularly market. Our target market is recruitment businesses mostly, yay.
Nice.
So we, great decision. We targeted a really hard market. Oh, well done us. And have placed lots of people over the years in different areas in the US, UK, and across Canada. So I'm, like I mentioned, I'm probably more of a gate crasher. I might have some things to add, but I'm interested to see what you've got to say. From a new tech perspective, Brian, there's lots of stuff, and I'm hit up all the time from a new tech perspective. And I've tried various things, demoed various things, moved from various things to other things, and so have got, my finger on the pulse to a degree. But I think there's obviously cost, implementation, adoption, all of those things involved when making decisions around technology, which as a business owner are important. Yeah, and yeah. So anyway, I will stop talking. Rick.
Thanks,
I love
Julie.
your accent, by the way. You can keep going. You can keep going.
Oh, no. It's okay. It's okay. I will. Anyone that knows me is bored to death with my accent, but yes, I will. Yeah, I'd love to know sort of your take on technology and what's right, especially in a small business. Thinking about the pros and cons of everything out there. Lots of bells and whistly type organisations that are selling lots of things for lots of buku bucks. But are they actually fit for purpose and or necessary, or are they just sort of like bright and shiny? So anyway, I'd love to pose that question to you shortly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Julie, your accent is enchanting and hypnotizing, so we can listen to it all day. And personally, I mean, those who don't know me, so I'm a VP of sales at Raymond George. I deal mostly in the U.S. business, in and out of Toronto as well, located in Toronto. I've done a bunch of different weird things before recruiting. I was on the radio. I had a record label. I was a touring artist with a lot of musicians. Did tech sales for a little while back 20 years ago, and I've been in recruiting for 11 and a half years. And fast forward to today, now we have this beautiful program going. We already have a comment, which is great. Already some fan of Arrange. Arrange is the best scheduling automation tool out there. Bam! It's been announced on this show.
Love to hear that.
Yeah, there we go. So you got fans already, Brian. So let's get into it, shall we? I mean, before we dive into the Arrange conversation, and this is something I ask of anybody that we bring on here who's a leader in staffing. You know, you went off and started your own shop, right? Your own agency 9 years ago, which means you have had your own small firm through all of this madness, right? Pre-COVID, then of course COVID happens, then the big boom afterward. And one of the things that started me doing these events, originally it was an audio event last year before we started doing video. But one of the things that did it is we at Raymond George, partially because Julie's background is in creative marketing, digital as well, prior to being in this space. But we had clients who were in the creative space, particularly on the West Coast. We had placements out to them. So again, these are recruiters and salespeople at agencies that focus on exactly what you're talking about too, you know, social media, et cetera. And several of them got let go within a month or two of ChatGPT being released to the public. and it was because the client feedback was, we're abolishing a lot of these positions. So not only are we going to make layoffs in that space, we're not planning on, you know, rehiring. So we don't have as much of a need. And that had already trickled down to them saying, well, these people are fine, but we're going to reduce our costs. We're letting them go. We're not replacing them. So there was a very quick kind of doom and gloom right away. This is 2 years ago now, right? That ChatGPT, it's ChatGPT's second anniversary, I think last week or this week. But right around now, second anniversary. So I think it's timely that we're talking about this. You had an agency in that space through all of that now, and there's all these weird ups and downs. What brought you to start your own agency, and what's that experience been like? For the
Absolutely. I mean, let's go back, 9 years ago. I fell into a niche recruiting into the PR space, right? Predominantly in the US. So I was helping staff PR firms, a lot in New York, a lot in LA. Those are like our big PR markets. And I loved it. For the first time in my life, I didn't really have to chase so much. Like I was in sales, I was like cold calling, doing the whole thing. But when I got into recruiting, I realized that people were actually coming to me looking for a job, right? Like, hey, can you get me a job? And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a little bit of a change of pace for me. Obviously, you have to get the clients. You're still going out there and selling personalities, not, that. And I loved it. I love the art of recruiting, and I just ran with it. So after being in a small shop and a large shop, there was a lot of like old school ways that I saw that I didn't think were that effective anymore at that time. And I'm like, I kind of want to do it this way, but I don't know if I'm allowed to do it this way. I don't know if I can really make it my own and just like So, you know, it was a really scary decision at the time. I lived with two of my roommates on Wall Street downtown in a very small apartment. Like, I didn't even have like a wall. Like, it was the weirdest setup. But you know what? I'm like, yeah, it was weird. They used to. It was like a wall that didn't go up to the ceiling. So like my roommates would like throw things over into my bedroom. Yeah.
Awesome.
Literally, yeah. It was fun, but anyway, I just took a leap of faith. I always knew that I wanted to kind of do something and make a difference, and you know, just you know, I felt like I would be good at this if I just went out on my own, right? I had the confidence at the time. I didn't really have responsibilities. I'm like, it's now or never for me. So I did it. I saved up not a lot of money. I just to get me by, just to pay my rent for the next like maybe 5-6 months. That's how, you know, just to kind of give myself a little bit of a cushion, because I'll be forfeiting my you know, my salary. And I did it. I went for it. I started making phone calls. I brought in like 2-3 clients. They all contingent, so they're not paying us anything. Just, you know, they'll reward us if we're successful at making a placement with them. And made my first placement, I would say, within like a month of going out on my own, and that just gave me the confident boost to just run with it. And since then, it's been a crazy roller coaster ride, as you can imagine. As you said, like going through the COVID era, it's been wild. There's been times that I'm like, gosh, what am I doing? I might have to hit you guys up for a job, you know? So, you know, but you know,
or vice versa, Brian, or vice versa.
Yeah. Seriously. But you know, with just the dedication, the effort, and just like the tunnel vision, that everything will be okay. Just stay focused. It got us to the other side, you know. And you know, I'm not the type of person just to fold easily. You just got to stay committed, and very, very. You have to be self-motivated in recruiting, no matter what. It's a very entrepreneurial job. Whether you have your own firm or you work for another firm, you're an entrepreneur. You know, it's the same mindset. You know, and yeah, here we are, 2024, almost 2025. It's wild.
So, quick question on that, just if you can elaborate on. So, you went out on your own. Did you have a partner right away? And if so, how many employees did you get over time, or have you mostly been a one-man show? With how's that evolved over time?
It's actually crazy. When I went out on my own, literally right when I went out on my own, I not to get into crazy detail, but I was contacted to be on a TV show on Fox as a contestant. Yeah, it's called Home Free. Tim Tebow, if you know Tim Tebow, he's a, you know, legendary football player, NFL player, college football player. He was the host of the show, and Mike Holmes, he's actually Canadian. He was a co-host of the show. Basically, the concept was 11 contestants competing to win a dream home for their heroes. My hero was a person that saved my dad's life by donating her kidney to him. And it was a complete stranger that I found on the internet. And that was right when I was starting my own business, right when I went out. And basically, long story short, I found this person to donate to my dad after 3.5 years. And she was in Atlanta. They were filming the show in Atlanta. And at first I said, I can't do it. They found my story. I have like a YouTube video. I don't know how they found us. But basically everyone was like, Brian, you got to do it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So at the time I actually had a friend that was in recruiting that helped me run the business while I went on the show. I wasn't even able to have my cell phone, my computer, nothing. They cut the cords on the TV. Like we were completely isolated. Fast forward life, it was an incredible journey. I won her a home on national TV. It was insane.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a really cool, like, giving back, experience. And then I came back to recruiting and just being back to BSA. Sorry to like get off grid for a little bit, but I just wanted to mention
No, that
that
was an
'cause
awesome story, man. What the hell?
that was the first thing when I started the business. I got hit with that timing. Talk about bad timing, right? And it was really scary as it is, because I was giving up stability to do this, and now I'm like
Yeah.
going away for a few months. You know, it was
Yeah.
it was a pretty wild journey. Yeah.
But
But
so
well done.
so
Well, I was just going to say there, though, well done you, because you had competing allegiances and worries there, which is, and well done you for getting through that. And miraculous recruiting skills, finding someone that would be able to do that. So, yeah, so actually it was just like in the life of in some ways, right?
Sometimes I mention that. People are like, are you able, I'm like, I once found a stranger to donate her kidney to my father. I think I can help you with this.
Yes.
yeah, honestly, that's a hell of a compelling sales pitch.
Billboard behind you there, Brian. Yeah, well done.
God bless her.
Yes.
Jennifer, if you're ever watching this, she's an angel from Atlanta. She's so like so selfless. There's not a lot of people like her in this world, and it's incredible that people like her exist. So we're forever grateful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you won her a dream home.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, how do you give back to someone that does something like that for you and your family?
Yeah.
There is nothing you can do. And that's why I went on the show, just because if I can do anything to thank her, this could be the angle. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, you know, to do that. So, you know, don't regret it for a second.
That's fantastic, Brian. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, of course. Sorry to get deep, you know, but got a little deep there, you know.
No, deep's good.
Yeah.
So then what? Okay. So then on the recruiting side, on the non-deep side of it, you found someone who you knew was in recruitment to sort of take over your book of business while you were gone. Did you have any other employees at this point, or was it just you that took over?
It was just me.
And then what became of that person?
Yeah, she actually went back to like acting and comedy and entertainment. So she actually left the recruiting business, and it was just me for a while. I would say probably for 2 years. I was just really I was just on my own, you know, and just hustling, you know, every single day. I would actually block time. I would actually go to various coffee shops. At that time, we moved from Wall Street to the Upper West Side, and there were so many cool coffee shops. So every day I would post up, they knew me. I would get my coffee in the morning. I would sit down with my headset, and I would just be on LinkedIn, constantly recruiting, reaching out nonstop, because I knew my life was on the line. I knew that I wanted to. Yeah, I had no choice. I don't come from money or anything like that. My parents had their own businesses and everything. They had their ups and downs, and all I learned really is just work hard and be a good person and just do the right thing. You know, people will recognize that, and the good will come back to you. You know what I'm saying? Just do the right thing at the end of the day, and that's exactly what I did. I hustled every single day. It was just my own, and I made my first hire, I believe, in 2019, and that was very scary to just start, you know, investing now in the business. You know, it was very scary. There's another story when I made my first hire, but I got injured. I couldn't walk. Everything happened. Crazy things happen when I have to make big decisions for some reason. I don't know why.
That's just the way, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just life. That's life, you know? It's crazy.
Out of curiosity, though, then you made your first hire to work for you in 2019. How close to the end of 2019 was that? Like, how close to actual COVID was your first hire? Because that's the big concern that popped up.
It was early 2019, so that person was with me probably maybe like a year before COVID hit, I would say, and then COVID hit, and then gosh. But by the time COVID hit, within that year, it's wild. When COVID hit, we were a team of 4 actually at the time. So we had we scaled up pretty quickly within that 2019 to 2020, and then once COVID hit, a lot has shifted and changed. And I just think not for only us, everyone, the whole world, you know, but I think the recruiting, the hiring industry, especially felt it really, really hard, you know, because you went from here to literally here, no one was hiring at the time, you know, it's crazy.
For sure. How did that hit the PR market specifically? Was it also just a dead stop? Did you have to be able to pivot? Like, well, these people are still doing PR because they're doing PR for, I don't know, pharma or whatever, you know, how did it evolve?
Good question. Good question. So we got hit with a very dark time, of course, and we had to be smart and be more strategic. I picked up the pace with business development, and I was looking all over to who's hiring. All right, there's got to be. So I felt like someone like, who's out there? I'm like in the woods by myself. Like, who's out there? And luckily, I found a biotech comms firm that was hiring and never slowed down. Actually, they didn't know us. We didn't know them. I reached out to the hiring manager, and you know, my approach to everything is very human. I don't do the whole like I always, when people ask me like, what do you? I'm like, think about what if you bumped into someone on the street? What would you tell them? And that's my approach to on LinkedIn. The same kind of concept. The human to human, you know, genuine element. And we engaged, we started talking. How are you doing during this time? Yada, yada. I'm like, look, we have a lot of bandwidth right now. We can definitely help you. This is what we do. And we spoke. She introduced me to her hiring team, and they basically kept us alive during COVID. I think we made like 3 to 4 placements with them during that time, and that kept us alive. And they never slowed down. And I am so grateful to having that relationship, especially during that time. And that's. Other than that, it was just really, you know, a struggle, you know, overall. I didn't lay anyone off at that time. I just felt like this is my team. I love everyone here, and we're going to do this together. We're going to pull through, you know, and we did. We made it on the other side. We didn't fold.
Yeah. Having to have some faith. I'm going to read some of these comments that are coming in too. With someone say such a good story. I'm assuming about the kidney donation part of it. That seems to be when that came in, and that was a good story. And then someone else says, "Hey Brian, love your story. I too couldn't walk at one point. Many similarities in our stories. Thank you for sharing. Very inspiring. You've got a lot of inspiring stuff. I'm glad to have you on now because I got to be honest with you, Brian. A lot of people are talking doom and gloom as we're at the end of this year, or they're very exhausted. So you've already given. We're not even halfway through the episode. You've already given more inspirational stories than we usually have. And talking to people, so that's good.
I mean, look, it's life. I think everyone has a story. You know, just maybe some people don't share it as often. You know, and we all experience the lows. You know. You can't go through life like this ever. That doesn't exist. Yeah. So we all go here, then we go up, and then we go down again. But it's all about what's in here. If that's strong, you're good.
I completely agree with you, Brian. And I'm going to have to say that I think it's about positivity and knowing that things will, things will change, and they are also changing. I mean, just on the positive note, I'm just looking at the time here. It's 12 o'clock or 12:30. I've already had 3 client meetings this morning in one day. So 3 client meetings, and these aren't really clients that I had to push hard for a meeting. So we've got a number of new roles just this morning. So that means there's, you know, fuel in the tank. It's going. It just needs to be sort of, you know, turned on and whatnot. So anyway, just wanted to share that. There's definite positivity out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, and that's 3 on your end. And I have 2 people who reached out to me this morning, so I haven't even had a chance to get back and book meetings yet. That's the thing is, you know, a lot of people were talking about the election as being the last sort of hurdle, right, before the market can speed up again. And love or hate the result of the election, the fact is it was a clear victory, meaning it's not contested, it won't last a long time. I'm seeing already a change on the client side that people are like do this, let's hire. Which, for whatever it is definitely positive, right? I mean, so that's a big positive takeaway for sure.
Yeah,
I would say.
So sorry,
I agree.
I just thought it was useful to add, sort of, it's not just one dimensional.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, this year has been a weird year for recruiting in general. I'm a part of a lot of like recruiting groups in general, and I've seen a trend, and most people are saying that 2024 was a very like sluggish hiring year, you know. And I think, like you mentioned, elections, like there's a lot of factors. You know, election for sure. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to the world? What other side you're on, it's still a day of leading up to a day of making a decision, you know, that's going to basically be a change, you know, in our country. So a lot of people are in their mind like, you know, we're going to wait until we actually make these hires and even like plan, you know, strategically about, you know, where we can scale, grow. Everyone put things on a hold. Most people did, not everyone. And now that day is behind us, I do see an uptick as well of people strategizing 2025 in a more confident way versus a more reluctant way, you know? So I think 25 should definitely be better than 24.
Well, and hopefully we're all right in thinking that, but
it will be. It will be.
Maybe guaranteed. So just curious then, we talked about this, and my origin story of starting to do this show was again related to the release of ChatGPT and how that changed things, particularly in the social media, you know, and content part of the marketing world. You know, COVID was one thing you made through. Was that a big challenge for you guys too in the PR and social media recruiting world? The release of ChatGPT, how has that AI kind of presence changed the game for someone like you? So in that world,
it didn't really affect us when it came to like not needing to hire anyone, because now we're using ChatGPT. I think it's still an evolving tool. I think it's incredible what it can do. I think it hasn't come to the point of replacing social media or PR, you know, individual professionals. I think it helps them. They definitely, you know, utilize it as a support tool, but you need that human element, because when you're dealing with client interaction and client relationships and client management, at the end of the day, you can't be like, all right, client, here's ChatGPT. They're going to walk you through the strategy. You need that person that's a client manager. So yes, it can help expedite the process and maybe give you some creative ideas, help you strategize. ChatGPT is a tool that you can look at as your strategy partner, but it's not replacing you, and it can maybe replace some of your tedious administrative task on a day-to-day. But at the end of the day, that human element, I don't think it will ever die. And on that topic, Rick, I've been seeing a lot of noise around this voice AI chat that you can, you know, companies are implementing in their growth strategy. So an AI, you're talking to a person that you think is a real person. You can actually mirror your voice. It's crazy what it can do. You can train it, teach it. It does everything, and there's no pauses too. So if you ask them, "Are you a chatbot? Are you an?" They're like, "Absolutely not." Like it's actually incredible. But at the end of the day, people want to talk to a real person. And maybe what if you say, "Hey, can we do a video call?" That probably already exists. The video AI duplicate, which is going to be insane.
It does, and this segues beautifully into the whole other crux of this here, which is so many different companies have popped up in like the past 3 years, let's say, out of nowhere. So many of them that are trying to sell, especially small companies, different apps to take stuff off your plate, right? Let's just look at it from the recruiting standpoint. So, you know, lead generation or sourcing tools of different types to replace LinkedIn Recruiter or even LinkedIn as different products. Then you've got screening ones, some of them that exist that pre-screen questions, some of them have a voice, some of them apparently even do a video call. And it looks like a person. It's not a mirror view yet that I know of, but you know what I'm saying? It looks like a person to actually do this, and it records the call. There's the recording AI assistants to come in and do the admin. There's so many different various pieces of the chain where you have tools. What prompted you to get into that world? Because this is your other company, right? It's Arrange, so you have a tool. And what's that been like to just decide to do it and try to make it a reality now that everybody and their grandmother has 5 tool apps out to sell you? Like, what's that been like?
No, of course. Long story short, 2 years ago, I took a walk out of my apartment. I think during that time, I was like frustrated with work and everything. I think I was scheduling a lot of interviews, and I'm like, this is so frustrating. So I actually left my phone in my apartment, and I walked down to the seaport, and I just sat there. And I was looking at just people watching, just hanging out there. And I was just pondering, my thoughts were just rolling. And I'm like, gosh, the most frustrating part of my job is scheduling interviews. That's what it was for me as a recruiter. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like, why isn't there a tool that like can solve this problem in the industry that I am, right? So I went home, I put my thoughts to paper, I wrote things down, and I did a lot of market research, and I demoed tools like, for instance, like Calendly, for instance, and other, which is great. There's other tools in the market, scheduling tools, but nothing solves the external recruitment world problems of being the middle person and scheduling a meeting between a candidate and a client. And that to me was like, I'm looking for a tool like this. It doesn't exist. I got to build it. So I went for it. I teamed up with a dev team. I strategized. We created an MVP, and we ran with it. And here we are today. We're officially launched, and we use it internally at BSA. And it's been incredible. It basically gives us, the recruiter, saves us plenty of time. We don't have to email anyone back and forth. We don't have to send out manual invites anymore. If there needs to be a rescheduling, everything's done around us. We're still always in control, so we can see on our dashboard what's going on. But I think one of the biggest pieces to this is that it makes us stand out from other recruiting companies, because we're giving our clients and candidates a really like white glove experience to scheduling a meeting with one of our candidates, or, you know what I mean? So, and it's all white labeled too. So it's really neat, and it's going to keep on evolving. But yeah, that's what inspired me. I found the gap in our industry. I couldn't find a tool that exists, and I just went into execution mode and built it. It's really where we're at.
I am using Arrange, or I am using it. My account manager, Renee, is using Arrange. So we've been using the tool for a little bit now. I do really like the tool. And I'm not just saying that because I also like you, Brian, and I want to suck up to you or whatever else. But it's good. I genuinely like the tool.
Yeah.
And I've tried a lot of tools. I mean, ask Julie. She's done more demos than me even too. But like a zillion people reach out to you all the time for this stuff, And we've tried a lot of different tools. What I like about what you're doing, because it's aimed at people like us who are, like you said, the middleman, sort of third parties, is that it takes something off of our plate, but it is also client facing and candidate facing. So it becomes a branding thing, because you could brand it with your own brand, and it's a value add on both sides. So even though it's internally taking something off our plate, it also faces the client and makes us look slicker, because we got a tool, by the way, and it's got
exactly.
So there's a sort of inherent value to that, I think, personally.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's most recruiters do the manual way of scheduling. We've spoken to a lot of recruiters, and I'm sure too. It's back and forth. It's when are you free? This, that. There's a lot of frustration that can, I can think of endless endless user cases of, oh, I can't do tomorrow too. Are they free tomorrow at 4? Oh, they can't do 4 o'clock. Can you do? You're playing ping pong, and imagine you have 10 interviews that you need to schedule, and most of them are like, it's mind boggling. So Arrange is basically the solution for us. And it's not like I'm solving a problem for like a different industry. I'm actually a customer of Arrange, so we're solving the problem within our industry, which I think that means something. It's when I talk to people, other recruiters, we can speak their language, we understand their pain points, and that's why I feel like most recruiters, if you're like me and you are sick and tired of the manual scheduling process, it's worth looking at Arrange and seeing if it works for you.
Question for you, Brian. In terms of what you're doing in BSA, and obviously you saw an opportunity here or a problem which you've solved, hopefully. Which other problems do you see which could be solved by technology that you might be sort of like thinking as version 2 or next something to sort of try and anything else that's sort of resounding like, yeah, that needs totally to be fixing, or there could be a better way that you want to tackle?
I can't share my thoughts here, Julie. What are you doing to me? We're on a live stream right now,
Okay, well handled.
I mean, look, just to like, there's a lot. I feel like if whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis that frustrates you, do research, find a tool that can solve your frustration. Do a ton of research, keep doing more research, dig in. If you can't find it anywhere, ask around. If you come to a point that it does not exist and you're confident that it does not exist, or maybe someone's doing something similar, not exactly to what you're thinking, go for it. Do it. Just sometimes you don't need, like, you can find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. Even if you don't have the capital and everything, there's ways to figure it out. Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer of that. You can figure it out. There's solutions for everything. And, no matter what, take it from me. Like, I literally had nothing. And, we're still just getting going with Arrange, and I believe in it incredibly, and, I'm behind it 100%. But at the end of the day, we need people to use it and be happy. We need happy users,
One of the, along with sort of multiple frustrations, and by the way, interviewing arranging is probably one of my bugbears, and anyone that's in recruiting, I'm sure, shares the pain that you now have tried to solve, actually, Brian. So thank you for doing that. Thank you. And I think one of the other bugbears that I have or have experienced is like multiple sign-ons. So from a tech stack perspective, everything that you do isn't in one place. So there's, you've got to sign on to that does that does that. And it's like you end up with 10 different functional, items that do the thing that they do well, it seems, but none really link together or solve the bigger problem of, like, I've now got disparate technology, which just is unhelpful.
Right.
Have you, is that something that you experienced, or have you seen a way to help with that?
Like, connecting the links, like if you're using a lot of different platforms,
everything does everything else, right? So one thing does this, something does interview arranging, then you've got, someone that ChatGPT that might give you something, someone else does this, someone else does, you've got the old favorites that are sourcing tools, you've got different sequencing tools. Yes, you can pop sequencing tool into a CRM or with an ATS, but this doesn't seem to be like here's an easy way. I know that
Well, I've seen, like, for ATSs, like CRMs, if I had my own ATS, proprietary ATS, I would think the way you're thinking. How can we link all these pieces together under our own umbrella? So you're all in one solution. So if you sign up with our ATS, you're getting this, you're getting that. And I've seen a lot of, gosh, I remember I used like 10 years ago an ATS that had no bells and whistles, and what it is today and what it was then, it's unbelievable. Most of these ATSs are really evolving with the times. They're implementing sourcing and outreach capabilities, which is unbelievable. It's basically, I think, kind of taking away from what LinkedIn does. You know, the LinkedIn recruiter, which most recruiters live on, right? But a lot of these ATSs have that similar functionalities. They have the ability to basically source the web for talent based off your keyword searches, and you can actually reach out to them. You can actually get their email. It's a data finding tool as well. Like, I mean, there's so many great ones out there, like Apollo, for instance. But you know, I think what you're asking right now, I haven't seen it, but I've seen ATSs evolving, and you know, to maybe get there one connecting. Yes.
This brings me to another question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say, I think that they've definitely evolved, and I think that the one that we use has evolved. There's also some others that have demoed that have evolved considerably, but still, I think that there's this sort of the add-on functions which you could use, or we all do use, outside of the perhaps what was historically the core of maybe LinkedIn or whatever. That just, if there was a better cohesive way to access those, it would just make everyone's life so much easier.
Oh yeah,
and more efficient for not only that user but for the group.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it's an endless race. There's so many tools out there, and there's so much competition. So I think a lot of this would involve back-end partnerships to push their company versus, you know what I mean? So,
which I think that there are. It's just yeah. Anyhow, sorry, I interrupted. Rick, what were you going to say?
No, not at all. You raise a very good point, Julie, because it begs the question to me, like what you're saying is, I think, super relevant for where things are going in the future. And it begs the question, what parts of the process of what we do every day should be automated, should be unified, and technology should handle, versus the parts that we should protect and keep as actually human eyes and doing manually. Not just because it's the most efficient way to do it, but is it the most effective way to do it? Are we on a short and a long term, right? Like you talk to some people who are still talking about using AI to automate their actual content for outreach, like it's a revelation. Meanwhile, people like us, I mean, Julie, we stopped doing that a long time ago because it's, it can help, sure, but doing just AI generated tools been around for years now to do an AI sequence thing, and everyone can tell. Right. Everybody's annoyed, but some people are still like, yeah, don't waste time. I'm never going to write an email again. I'm just going to, and I'm like, guy, I'm sorry, it's already over. You've missed the boat on this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think for email, no. I mean, you can obviously use it, but you have to tweak, edit, because email's more personalized. You want to get, how do you get across? How do you get your message across? I think it has to be you, your own personality has to shine through those emails. But I do think, and what I've been seeing, a lot of companies are blogging articles and using like ChatGPT, for instance, to generate the content. Because if you think about it, people are blogging constantly to drive traffic to their brand, and coming up with these long-winded articles, it would be really hard to believe if these content marketers are actually sitting there and writing this out word by word. I think they're generating copy and everything. Maybe they're tweaking it, editing it, great. But I think they're definitely using the support of these AI tools to generate at least these content for at least blog posts.
Well, I think also, I mean, AI and also other humans. So I think that this is around, in my opinion, this is around outsourcing for whatever you need to outsource for the right reasons to get the desired result. But it might be the right reason. I mean by that is that maybe that's not your strength. So if you can outsource something to make to get a better result by still having engagement and it being and for it not being fictitious, right? So no, I'm not supporting sort of fictitious load of old rubbish being put out there in any sort of form.
Yeah.
So as long as there's authenticity around where it came from, and then someone maybe has made it into something that is now ready for purpose, let's just say, because that is the best use and the most efficient and cost effective, and will get the best result from an author, whether it's AI or human intervention there. But yeah, so I think it depends what the motive is. And in some cases, it's just about money. But I mean, from a branding perspective,
of course, yeah.
Other people have been writing other people's content for a gajillion years.
Oh yeah,
that's what they are good at, and that's what their job actually is. So I think it depends what the flavor is around what you're trying to achieve, and how you're presenting yourself.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's scary but amazing at the same time, because you can train it to, you can actually you can show them articles that you actually wrote yourself, and you can say, hey, write me an article about this topic in my tone of voice, right? And it will generate content for you, and it really looks like it's coming from you. So to that point, I think if you're not utilizing it, you're not saving as much time as you could by using it. You're working harder, not smarter, right? At the end of the day. And look, it's 2024, almost 25. The world has evolved, technology has evolved, and we have these tools to make our workflow more efficient and quicker. Why not use them, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you're copy pasting. You still have to put your human element into everything. Use it as a strategic support, not as a tool to do the work for you entirely. Right. That's the way I look at it.
Yes, completely agree.
Yeah, and you raise a good point, Julie, also about the people would just have other people write their blogs for them before anyway. So it's like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it isn't that big a change. But no, it's not, right? What I feel like, and you guys, I'm curious about both of your opinions on this in terms of not only in the PR and marketing world and branding world, but even just as recruiters. It feels like there's a conversation that we're going to start having to have with ourselves and with our clients and whatever else around, yes, we can do this much more efficiently by using the tools, meaning we can do it quicker and more and whatever, right? Whether it's outreach or whether it's blogs or whatever. But if everybody has the tools and everybody can do it more efficiently, then it's not more efficient. It's just the norm now. It's just normal. So it's no longer more efficient. So efficiency stops being a valuable question to ask yourself if everybody has the same. It's no longer an edge. So all you're doing is more. And why? Is that effective to get your desired result? Example, blogs. I have so many more blogs out now. Okay, but was your point to get out a lot of blogs, or was your point to drive traffic? Is there a tipping point where you have so many blogs and everybody else has so many blogs? It's not actually driving traffic. It's just noise. And nobody even wants to read any blogs anymore. There's more blogs than human eyes can read. It's right. Absurd. So that it becomes like not seeing the forest for the trees, where you're like, what am I actually setting out to do here? Like the tools have gotten to that point where we can put out so much content, we ourselves couldn't even have time to read it all if all we did all day was do that. So there's, you know what I mean? Like, what parts do we want to use to that effect where, right? Like, it's a big topic, I find.
I think it's really interesting. Go ahead, Julie. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say on that. So interestingly, so there was a time there when probably over the last 18 months, let's say 2 years to maybe 6 months ago, I got so much outreach in terms of these are clearly automated messages or sequencing sort of messaging coming to me about trying to sell me whatever, and they're obvious with no human touch whatsoever. So totally obvious. So a massive wave, which was actually when we started doing it too. So we joined that wave for a short period of time, and then opted out. So we caught the wave, rode it for a short period of time, and then stopped. And now these days, I mean, I actually don't. I would probably say I get maybe a couple a week, but I was getting like 2 or 3 or more a day.
Right.
So that I think that wave perhaps has already passed. I don't know about you, Brian, from that perspective, but I think to your point, I think that's very valid, Rick. Actually, it's like catch it, utilize it, and then decide. But you may actually sort of decide or opt out.
I think that's really interesting. And that point, like if we tied into the recruiting world, external recruiting world specifically, and say when you sign on a new client and they don't know you and they ask you, so what makes you stand out? What is your strategy? How do you find us people? What do you do? We get those questions asked all the time. People are curious, like, what do you do that, that's different or whatever? I think if you take a sample of like 100 recruiters and they get asked the same question by a new client prospect, and everyone says, well, we have this tool to do this, and this tool to do that, and because we have an amazing tech stack, we're going to be able to deliver results, more quickly, and efficiently to you. But what if, to Rick's point, everyone said the same exact thing, right?
Yes.
So where does that one person stand at? And I think when people ask me that question, I can only speak for myself. I don't mention any tools at all. I said, what you're going to get is, first off, I want to understand your business. I want to really get to know you, because I'm going to be out there. My team and I are going to be out there selling and creating buzz around your agency and your company. That's one thing. We're gonna go out there and reach out to your target market. We're gonna approach them in a very kind way. We're not pushy recruiters. We want to get to know candidates. We want to make sure we're making the right fit. We understand that this is a very much an experience thing, but a very much a cultural and personality thing too. So we're gonna, the moral of the story here is, I talk about the human element more than the tool element. And I think that's never going to change, at least for me and my team. I think no matter what happens with technology and tools that are being built, I think when it comes to client interaction and what makes you stand out and what makes you different, I think we'll always be different, hopefully, because we have the ability to really hone in on the human element more so than where the world's evolving in technology. That's already assumed and given, that we live in a modern era. Technology has evolved and we're on top of technology trends. Yes, we use them, but we don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about why you should work with us. You know what I mean?
Totally. We were talking about this just the other day, Julie and I too, and I feel like, if you truly network in your space, then you're more powerful than any tool. Because what are the tools trying to do? They're trying to find the person in shorter period of time. But if you really network, when a client calls you, you should know the people already. You should be able to tell them, don't go here, don't go there. This guy's not going to move to you, blah, blah, because you already know them.
Yeah.
So you've done so much more than any tool could possibly do beginning a search, because you've already done all the work. You already know all the people as humans, right? You know the stuff that the tool's never going to find, which is what are their motivations, what are they in their family life, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, I feel like there's so much value to that human element. Like you're saying, it's easy to get lost in the noise of all the tools now, but I feel like it's undervalued, the human.
Of course.
Weirdly.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I love there's still so many in-person events, meetups, and people go in there and they talk about strategies, and I think there's so much value to that. And I don't think that's ever going to die. Look what we're doing here. We're talking about, recruiting tools. Human element will never die, because we're here, we're alive, and that's what drives energy, and that's what makes people feel comfortable. No tool in the world can make you feel good than a person can make you feel good. You know what I mean? So it can make your life easier.
Yep.
But that's different right there, you know? So
it's true.
I keep getting
I'm going to read
deep,
some of these
Rick.
comments.
Julie, what's going on? We just keep getting deep over here.
Keep getting what? Beeped?
It's crazy. Keep getting deep. Keep getting deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what this is all about, man.
Couch, Brian.
That's what this thing's all about, in my opinion.
That's what it's all about.
No, it's true.
Brian,
it's
I got to
true.
tell you, I mean, I sat.
Go.
No, sorry, Julie. Go ahead. I think I'm on a delay here. I feel like I'm always off.
Yeah, cut off for a
the
second.
timing.
Yeah, but here I think it's good now.
But it's
No, go ahead, Julie. What was that?
Well, I was just going to say it's that human interaction, isn't it? I mean, part of the reason that I joined this live stream today was the human interaction with others that wanted to talk about stuff that I wanted to talk about. So it's like, and I can't get that from just looking at my screen all day, right, or doing whatever I'm doing. So I needed that interaction just to sort of, because it's grey outside, it's a bit dismal. So it's like, okay, here I am.
Right.
I'm never going to get that from any sort of tool, I don't believe. Yeah.
I agree. That's why for all people that work remotely, you know, and you're full-time remote, of course, obviously, if that fits into your, you know, lifestyle and you need to be remote, that's amazing. But just make sure you're still going out there and interacting with people as much as you can, because it really does something to your soul, you know?
Yeah.
And that's priceless.
Oh, and I do see. I'm going to take the show here, Rick, because I've just seen a message here from somebody saying, just like Raymond George Consultancy, you've developed this amazing podcast to stay connected to the humans you service. What a honey! Thank you. $50 going to you. No, I'm kidding. But it's super sweet and super lovely of you to say that, actually. And you know what? It's true. It's to stay connected and to build a community and to build relationships with people that we don't necessarily speak to every day, and that's okay because we can't and they can't. But what we're able to do is to build a community, a broader community of people that are interested in the same stuff that we're interested in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Like-minded people.
And that was a very sweet comment, and thank you for that. Sorry, Brian, you were saying?
No, to say, yeah, we're all like-minded people. You know, everyone wants to, you know, do the best they can every single day, be successful, and be happy, you know, doing so. So if you're not happy, think about maybe pivoting a little bit.
Go and do something else. Absolutely.
You know,
That's true. Yeah, and you know, Brian, I'll bring it back to arrange for you again here. On the arrange front, one of the things that I did like about it, or that I do like about it as a tool, is it's a tool that is taking away compatibility issues too. Like, for example, people not being able to join a link or blah, blah. Like the clients can use their own link, but you can still keep track of it. So that these are just compatibility issues that take away from our day. So it's taking things off of our plate to give us room to do more of the human interaction, as opposed to a tool that is replacing the human interaction.
Exactly.
Some of these tools are replacing the interaction. I don't think those ones are going to last. They're short-lived.
Yes.
Right?
So
that's, I think,
Arrange
differentiate.
doesn't really have AI right now. It's more transparency and smart automation. So, you know, maybe the whole AI buzz, yeah, it's a thing, and those tools are incredible and do incredible things, but Arrange is still holding on to the human element, you know, which is pretty nice in a scheduling tool, especially as a middle person. You still want to be, you know, engaging. But yeah, I love that you said that. That's a very valid point.
Well, yeah, and Julie, I'm sure you and I both agree that we both, of the tools we've tried, we both love the ones that are AI note takers, that the AIs can just write everything down for you and take that off your plate. They don't have to replace me at all. Just talk and then take it down, please.
Yes, I'm in love with those tools. Absolutely. There's one other comment here that we didn't actually mention too, Rick, which was going back to our earlier conversation. So I think that this is an interesting one. When you've made significant, I'm taking your role here, Rick. Sorry, I'm a bossy pants. But if you've made a significant investment in an ATS, how else do you cope with sort of the other stacks or the other auxiliary parts around what could make our lives easier? It is a challenge. It is.
Yeah. No, it's also very expensive too. So it's kind of like
Super expensive.
where do you invest your money? You gotta prioritize your needs. Perhaps most of these tools have free trials. So I would suggest test everything out, see what you like, see what you don't like, see what makes sense for you, and prioritize your needs. Really, that's really it.
Well, and also I think that each of these tools, whilst I love anyone that's selling a tool, will try and lock you in for X period of time. But I think that there is significant flexibility around contract length if you really push for it, and which may help from one degree, but on the other, it's changing. If we're talking about ATSs or CS, changing that is a massive move. So.
Right.
On one hand, you might want to have flexibility with the contract length so that you can get out of it sooner and not locked in. But actually making a switch to something else is a mammoth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, mammoth decision, one that shouldn't be taken lightly. Massive impact. So you might be able to get out something quicker, but it may not actually behoove you to do that. So it's like, how can you add on or bolt on stuff which will work to your benefit with your organization? I think. Flexibility all around.
Flexibility. Yeah. And people are hesitate for change, and try new things in general. And like you said, like making that switch is you're going from your day-to-day, what you're used to implementing a new thing that's going to change the way you used to do things. So look, trial and error, test things out, try new things. There's a lot of freemium plans out there. 14 days, 30 days. Like you said, a lot of these tools, there's flexibility. People want happy users and people want feedback. So that right there is valuable.
Yes.
For sure. And in the trial process, I mean, not that I'm in a position to give any advice on this because again, no one knows what the hell's going on. But I think beyond the camp, that it's worth having conversations internally, which we have at Raven George on a regular basis. I think for anybody in recruitment, it's worth having conversations about what parts are worth automating and what parts should stay human. Where is the human contact most valuable so that you can not just be efficient, not this maximum efficiency forever at the cost of being effective, right? Doing the work effectively with resonance, meaning, actually delivering on it, not just delivering resumes on a certain point. Those are important, right? But the effectiveness of actually having good placements, having people happy where they are, is still what we're trying to do, as far as I remember, unless I didn't get the memo.
It's very easy to get caught up in the technology, right?
Oh yeah,
very easy.
Those tools can help you find the right profile
and the stats.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're going to be the right person for the job. Once they start. So that's a human cultural element I don't think any tool can solve right now. So
100%.
It's cool.
100%. Just to round up the last of the comments, because you are right, Julie. I fell behind on the comments there. Someone wrote Paul Dodd, oops, APIs. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to look it up. Unless it's supposed to be ops API.
That was based on the prior message. Like he put UPIs, but actually he meant APIs.
Oh, APIs.
Oh, yeah. Got you. But Paul Dodd, is that the name of the person in question? Let's find that out. To your point, Rick, let's normalize working smarter and more efficiently. Yes, for sure. Just like Raven George, of course, was great. Thank you for that one. I'll be speaking to you as soon as this is done, actually, Mr. Commenter. And this one, too, is interesting. Do the limits of human capacity hinder how big of an impact AI will have? Example, it can perhaps schedule 100 interviews in a week, but a human can't possibly do that volume. Again, yeah, that's being effective versus efficient, right? Like maximum efficiency, we're still humans. Humans have to go to interviews, do jobs. You can't just have stats that climb to the sky without any meaning, right? It's still got to have meaning and make sense for us.
Absolutely. 100%.
Well, awesome. Any last words that you guys would like to pop in before we call this a beautiful episode?
No, just keep us engaged with what you come up with next, Brian. Love to and actually.
I went off you after this. I'll let you know what's going on. I just want to say thank you both so much for having me here. Really enjoyed this, and keep doing what you're doing. I think this is an amazing platform. Every recruiter should be joining these episodes because it's so informative. And you guys are great. So, just keep doing what you're doing. And I appreciate it. And let's just keep building, growing, and being the best versions of ourselves every single day. And I'll leave it with that.
And I think in a small business, supportive of each other, right? So I think because there's an entire community there, it's like small businesses need to support each other because we are all in this together. So I think that is... I think that's relevant.
Absolutely. Human support.
Human support.
Yes. Not tool support, human support.
Human support.
I'm leaving you. I shall thank you, Brian. See you again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
One last thing. We'll include a link if anybody would like to do a product demo with Brian for Range. We'll pop in a link so you can contact him. And I would recommend that you guys check it out. And with that, we will leave you.
Right on.
Have a good Wednesday, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great day. Take care.